Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have seen this video going around a lot lately, and it's not exactly a new concept because I've probably seen it go around a couple years ago too, but I feel like it's been in high rotation with a lot of other content creators lately, and I thought it would be fun to do it myself. So this is if I lost my entire collection, which first of all, let me preface this by saying I am 1000% aware that this is first world problems, okay? But if I were to lose my entire makeup collection, which as someone who does YouTube, it is vast, I would obviously not go out and repurchase the entire thing, but I would need to repurchase some things if I wanted to wear makeup. And so I was like, what would be those things? What would compose an entire face of products that I would go out and repurchase immediately upon losing everything else in my collection? And honestly, it was way easier for me to pick this than I thought it would be. In fact, it took 2 seconds for me to sit down in my vanity and pick out every single category of makeup of what I would choose. So essentially, these are pretty much my favorites within each category. Ones that always work out for me, no matter what time of year, no matter what my skin is doing, they will always end up looking good. And of course, I included a fragrance in that because as someone who loves fragrance as much as I do, that would definitely be something that I repurchased. So let's jump in, starting with complexion. The first thing we're going to start out with is a corrector. Now, not everybody needs a corrector, but I have extremely dark under eyes. And it's something that if I'm going to wear makeup, and sometimes even if I'm not going to wear makeup, I will wear. And the reason I chose this one, it was mentioned in my last video with my favorite correctors and concealers, is twofold. One, because it has amazing coverage, and I absolutely do not need to use a concealer with this. It is a 2-in-1, so it would save me from using another product. I'm going to use another product because I'm showing all categories, but I don't have to. And the second is that this has an SPF 30 in it. So I'm getting my SPF protection as well. And to me, it's just a no-brainer. And it's the Iredale Enlighten Plus Under Eye Concealer. Now, the reason I use this as a corrector is because it has a really nice peachy undertone. This is in the shade number 1. Obviously, they market this as a concealer because, again, it works for both. When I use it, I tend to use it as a corrector more than anything else. But like I said, I can use it by itself. Very, 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 very tiny amount. Like I probably used too much, we shall see. And really warm it up good in between your fingers. I feel like the warmth of your skin on your fingers is really gonna help this blend into the under eyes better. And then I just tap this in. I do use a brush with pretty much every other concealer that I have, but this one definitely works best when I use my fingers. So yes, you can still see some of my darkness. That's just the nature of my darkness. There's not a single color corrector out there that's going to cover all of it, but this definitely helps by itself, but also when you combine it with other concealers. And as long as you don't use a ton, then any concealer is going to work over it. It's when you start using too much that you may not like this because it's a very concentrated product. Let's just stick on the Jane Iredale train, shall we? If you have watched me for any amount of time, surely you know that my complexion products that I would go and purchase first come from Jane Iredale. Now I included 2 because I wanted to give a liquid option and a powder option. But if I'm going to be quite honest, if I was only going to buy one of these, it would be the powder option because it covers both fields. But I wanted to show both because I have to include my Hydra Pure Tinted Serum. This used to be Liquid Minerals. They reformulated it a little bit. I didn't love it at first as much as the Liquid Minerals. It has definitely grown on me and I appreciate it even more now. But this as a liquid product, base product, would by far be the first one that I repurchased. This is, however, very sheer coverage, sheer to light coverage. And most of the time I feel like I want a little bit more as far as coverage goes, which is why I'm gonna incorporate the powder, but not all the time. And it just sinks into the skin and leaves this beautiful finish. It's hydrating, but not overly hydrating. It's not slippy on the skin. It has hyaluronic acid and CoQ10, which helps with the hydration. It's a beautiful product. I'm in the shade medium 4. Now I'm going to finish my concealer before I go on to the powder product. And again, if you watch my last video, you know what this is gonna be. And it's the Chantecaille Future Skin. Now, this is kind of cheating because not only is it my favorite concealer, but it is also something that I would choose to get first because I could also use it as a foundation, because it is a foundation. So it would kind of up my foundation collection just a little bit, at least by one, by getting this. But I would get it because it's my favorite concealer. This is in the shade Vanilla. And I just take a little bit on my ring finger and basically press it in like I did the Jane Iredale, but I will blend this out with a brush. And I like the BK Beauty 109 brush, and I just stipple it in. This is definitely not the highest coverage concealer. I do need a corrector under it if I want my darkness to be mostly eliminated, but I have said it a million times and I'll keep saying it. The older I get, the less I care about coverage and the more I care about wear. I want it to look good under my eyes. I don't want it to crease and crack and cake. And this doesn't at all, ever. Full stop, end of story, period. Do you get my drift? I love this so much. I will set with my Ilia powder, which is definitely the one that I would get first. Again, not only because it's a beautiful powder for under the eyes, but also because it would give me an option for the Chantecaille if I wanted to use it as a foundation, for the Hydra Pure if I wanted to use it without the powder foundation I'm going to use on top of it. So I'm really choosing these because they're great, they work, but also because it can be used in a variety of ways. Now we're going to get into the powder foundation, which again, if I had to only pick one, would be the one that I'd choose all by itself, because it is, out of all of my foundations, my favorite foundation, the Jane Iredale Pure Pressed Powder Foundation. This is my current compact, which obviously I'm almost finished with, but I always have a backup of this. I never want to be without. It has fabulous coverage. I'm going to put a card up for my video review of this where I just use it by itself so you can see the coverage straight over my redness. But the combination of this and the Hydra Pure is perfection. And whenever I need something that's going to last all day and know it will look flawless, absolutely have no doubts that it will look flawless, it is this combination. I use the Jane Iredale Handi Brush, which is definitely my favorite to use with this. And I'm in the shade Golden Glow. So I just take it, and this is meant to be applied in a downward motion so the minerals can lay almost like fish scales on the skin. And then when I get to my forehead, kind of go in that direction. I do not buff this product. I do not get the best results when doing it. It was not meant to be applied that way. And then I take it straight down my nose. And then when I get to my chin, I just kind of tap it in. Now, if after doing that initial application, I feel like I maybe have some redness that needs to be covered up, I will go in and stipple that. I mean, I really don't, but I'm just going to show you. Just kind of press it in like this, and that's going to give a little more coverage. But I find I rarely have to do that when I use this in conjunction with another base product like the Hydra Pure. If I'm using it by itself and I'm having an especially red skin day, then maybe I will do that and find benefit from it. But it's just got such good coverage the first go around that I really don't need to do much else. This is just, it's by far, it's it for me. When I travel, it's all I will take. It is, when I went on my long vacation last month, I was gone for almost 2 weeks, and this is the only foundation that I took. That's it. No base product underneath, just this. I can't speak highly enough about it. I just can't. I feel like it's getting a lot more buzz because I think they're starting to send out like more PR to influencers and stuff, and people are actually trying it, but it's been around for 20 plus years, and there's a reason. It's fabulous. I've talked about it for years. Please try it. It's so good. Now, bronzer. One of my very favorite bronzers is one from Jane Iredale that they are discontinuing. So I could not in good faith talk about that one because it may end up not being easy to find. So my next best favorite bronzer is from Sisley, and it is the Phyto Touche Gel Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. I've talked about this a lot. If you can tell, I have used it a lot. I'm going to hit pan soon. I can see the little indents, and that's going to be a sad day, but I will just repurchase. I know this is expensive, well aware, but there is a reason that I will not question repurchasing it because it is absolutely gorgeous on the skin. It is a Baked Gelée formula, so it's going to have naturally a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not enough to where I feel like I look shiny. It's just a very pretty finish on the skin. It's not flat by any means. It's not, this has something to do with the color and something to do with the formula. It isn't overpowering. I mean, you can see like I'm really stippling it in and it still is not looking like I have a ton of bronzer on my skin. It's just doing the job of warming my tone up, giving me a sun-kissed glow. Like it's doing the job of a bronzer without being like, whoa, look at the bronzer she's got on her face, right? Like I'm kind of past wanting that to be, did I ever really want that to be the case? If I did, I'm well past it. I just want a sun-kissed glow. This was my gateway product into Sisley. I have since obtained quite a few other products from them and love every one of them. For blush, couple reasons I chose this blush. A, it's one of my favorite formulas. B, it's one of my favorite colors. C, it's one of my favorite eyeshadows. I often talk about how much I love using blush as eyeshadow. And again, this is one of those multi-use products where if I buy it and only have one blush, I not only have one blush, but I also have an extra eyeshadow. So many reasons why I chose this, but again, it didn't take me 2 seconds to decide. It's the Jane Iredale blush, Pure Press blush in Sheer Honey. And this is the shade right here. It's beautiful. It is a matte blush and it is a very neutral / warm blush. It does, I mean, the name is honey, so you're gonna lean a little bit more on the warm tone, but it's not an in-your-face peach. I find that I can wear this even if I'm wearing cooler tones on the eye and it's not gonna be noticeable and clashing. It just works every time. And oh my word, when I wear this as an eyeshadow, I almost always get compliments on my eyes, not my eyeshadow or my makeup, but on my eyes. And I think it's because this color in particular really brings out the blue. So if you have blue eyes, it's definitely one to look into as an eyeshadow as well, but it's just such a good blush. I don't find it fades away as the day goes on. It's just a really good formula and a beautiful color. Now, the highlight I'm going to talk about is a cream highlight. So at this stage of the game, I would most definitely repurchase this. In fact, it is one of my most repurchased products. Probably, I think Zeus is about to have a come apart. This product is probably tied with how many times I've repurchased the Pure Press foundation. And it is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Radiant Light. You can tell. See, I mean, I really have to dig on the perimeter of the pan to get product out. I already have a backup. And this is my favorite all-time buffing powder. Now, when I say buffing, I mean when I am at the stage where I'm done with all the powder products on my face, I will take this with a duo fiber brush. This is one from It Cosmetics. And I will load it up on the brush and I will take it and I really concentrate from like here down. I don't typically do this on my forehead, but I will take it with pretty intense pressure and buff all around my cheeks. And what this does is it gives like an almost filtered look to the face while also taking down any harsh lines that may have been there from the blush or the bronzer. So you can see now it looks very melded together, whereas right here, there's a little bit of a harsh line from that bronzer. And this takes it away.
Catch that. Oh. Could you try again?
Well, I wasn't talking to you. You could definitely do this with a brush and no product. However, I just feel like this particular one leaves such a gorgeous finish on the face that it's highly worth it, in my opinion, and definitely one that I would repurchase because it is something that I use every day. Now for highlight, I was like, do I choose between a powder or a cream? Do I show an option for both? And in the end, I went with a cream because I feel like as I'm getting older, they look better on my skin. I still love a powder highlight, don't get me wrong. But this is definitely my favorite cream highlight and it's from Merit, talked about it a ton. It is the highlighting stick in the shade Kava. They have maybe even 4 shades now. And I just kind of paint it on my middle and ring fingers and then start almost up at my hairline and lightly tap it down to the edge of my eye. Look at that, oh my goodness. This is a little bit of a tacky formula. However, I don't find it so tacky that my hair gets stuck in it. But if you're someone that doesn't want any kind of tack at all, even if your hair doesn't get stuck in it, this may not be for you. but oh my word, it's just, the finish is divine. It doesn't leave any kind of glitter. It doesn't have any of that, like no specks of anything are left on your skin. It's just a very beautiful sheen. So that is the complexion one that, again, just works every single time. I love the results every single time. So it didn't take me any time to pick those products. And for eyes, it really didn't take me time to pick this. Now, it was harder in the sense that I was like, do I go with single shadows? Do I go with a palette? Do I go with a mix of matte and shimmer? Do I go with just matte? What do I do? What do I do? But still, it didn't take me that long to decide that the one palette that I would get is actually just a quad. And it is the Tom Ford Smoky Quartz Quad. I've talked about this a lot. It's well loved. In fact, I'm just waiting to hit pan on this particular color right here. The reason that I picked this one was because I definitely would rather have an all matte palette versus an all shimmer. I love an all matte look. The look that I'm about to do is one that I've done on my channel before, and every time I do it, I love it. It's very, very, very simple. And these colors just suit my eye color, and they are just very pretty. The formula is very easy. This is one of those like powder to cream formulas, or creamy powder putty type formulas. It's hard to explain. And it's one of my very favorites, hands down. So, you know, obviously I could add on to it if I wanted to get like a single shadow of shimmer, or I could get maybe a powder highlight if I wanted to and use that as eyeshadow as well. But very initially, this is what I would do. Now, if I were to include eyeliners in this roundup, I would have to go with the Chantecaille Luster Glide Silk Infused Eyeliner, and specifically in the shade Jasper. And that's part of this look. I don't always use pencil eyeliners. In fact, the only time I do is when I'm doing a look like this. This shade right here, this dark shade, is a glorious eyeliner shade, especially for a powder, because it has that putty creamy texture and it just glides on the eye. It doesn't skip. It's super dark, very pretty, but still natural looking and not too harsh. But if you like a pencil highlighter, definitely recommend these. And the first thing I'm going to do is apply that. You see me do this with this particular shade, I don't know how many times. And then just kind of buff it out a little bit. And that's another reason that I would choose these, because when they set, but you do have a little bit of playtime. And I love using my eyeliners at, you know, as this, like a very smoky, thick eyeliner, but I also like using them as eyeshadows. And I have used this particular eyeliner formula as an eyeshadow in the past on videos, and it just works. It's got that playtime, very easy to use, but like I said, when it sets, it sets. Now I'm going to take a crease brush and go into this one shade right here where I was like, I know I'm about to hit pan, and that's going to be a sad day because I love this so much. And use this in the crease. I am also going to use that same shade underneath the eye, because I would, you know, another reason I picked this palette is because I want to make sure I have something that not only works on my in my crease, but also as an eyeliner shade, also as a under the eye shade, also as an eyelid shade. I've thought about doing a back to basics, how to navigate an eyeshadow palette video. If you would like me to do that, let me know, because it would be very basic. But sometimes people get overwhelmed, especially with larger palettes. I think it might be good just to say, this is how the best way to navigate it. This is what you would choose for this and why and so on. And that's another reason why I picked this Tom Ford palette, because it has something for everything. And while this is definitely not like a bone color, right? It's still very pretty on the lid. And that's what I'm going to use for this step. So I'm going to take this first color and I'm just going to wash that over the eyeliner, over my lid. The reason I did the eyeliner first was because I really want it to be smokier, and I want it to be like a hazy liner versus something that's harsh and stands out. And applying this over that eyeliner helps that effect. And that's it. That's the eye look. Can you tell why I love this so much? Just works every time. Mascara. I'm a little bit, a lot high maintenance when it comes to my lashes, and I use quite a few products. But if you ever look in my description box, you will see that the majority of those products stay the same. My lower lash MAC Giga Black. This is a tubing mascara with a very skinny wand. That's why I love using it on lower lashes. and my L'Oreal Voluminous primer. I absolutely love this. My Pixie eye pencil for tight lining, and then my favorite mascara of all time, hands down, no questions asked, would be the first that I repurchase, even though it's expensive, is the Chantecaille Faux Cils Longest Lash. So I'm gonna do my mascara off camera. I usually do it off camera. If you wanna see how I do my mascara, I will put a card up in a recent video where I did it on camera. But for time purposes and redundancy, I'm gonna do it off, and then we'll be back to finish with lips and perfume. For lipstick, I chose one. Okay, let me preface this in case you're new to my channel. I am a gloss girl. I love a gloss. I rarely ever use a typical lipstick without some kind of gloss on top. So I chose one that is kind of 2-in-1, that leaves that really pretty finish. Doesn't require a gloss on top, but I love the formula and I love the color. And that has to go to the Chantecaille Lip Veil in Honey Pot. It's just my kind of color. It's a nude pink with an almost balm finish. Now the lip cheeks I feel like are a little bit more glossy than this, but I still don't feel like I have to put a gloss over this. However, if you are just a gloss person, I will share with you my favorite gloss, and that is the Wayne Goss gloss in Tulip. So that just adds a little bit more shine. It is just a very pretty milky nude shade. I love it so much by itself. I love it as a topper. Never fails me. So that is the finished makeup look of all of the things that I would not hesitate to repurchase if I lost my entire collection. Now let's get into perfume, which again, did not take me even a second to determine because I've known what my favorite perfume is in my entire collection ever since I purchased it. And it is the Maison Crivelli Patchouli Magnetik. Talked about this a lot. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I am not necessarily someone who loves mainstream scents. I really like the more different the scents are, the more I love and appreciate them. And this is definitely different, okay? It is not blind buy worthy. You definitely need to get a sample. I have a code with Twisted Lily, which is where I got this, that will work on samples as well. But this is, two of my favorite notes of all time are peach and patchouli, and that's what I get from this. This is kind of what you would call a frutchuli. So it's a fruity patchouli. It is a bomb of a scent. You need two sprays and I'm good for 12 hours. I always, even though there are people who have smelled this and said they don't like it, it is the one perfume that every single time I wear it, I get a compliment. Every single time. I also took a small 10 ml of this with me to Disney last year. It's all I wore. It works good for me in the heat and the cold weather. In fact, I put this on last week and I walked out into the kitchen and my daughter was like, it smells like Disney in here, which I absolutely love that she associates this scent that I wore every day with Disney. And she actually got kind of sad. She was like, I think you need to take that off because I want to go back to Disney. It's like, well, it's not coming off for at least 12 hours, but it's just a beautiful look. Maison Crivelli knows how to do fragrances and they know how to set themselves apart. And this definitely does. It is phenomenal in my eyes. It's a masterpiece. I love it so much. And it would definitely be the one that I repurchased first. So that is it. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. I will have everything listed and linked per usual down in the description box. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what your #1 first purchase of makeup would be if you had to choose, if you lost your entire collection. If you want me to do a skincare version of this, let me know because I have 4 products off the top of my head that I would definitely repurchase first and faster than I would repurchase even any of these pieces of makeup, probably more than 4, but I would definitely keep it under 6. So let me know if you want to see that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.